Rubber burning engine screaming, it's a madhouse. Hyper shift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafting on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Tire spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's delight. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as the Hypershift Racing League is back in action here this evening. From the always amazing, always thrilling, it is the Echo Park Speedway here now. It's changed its name. It is now the Echo Park Speedway. Here it used to be the Atlanta Motor Speedway for all these drivers and all the fans in the stands. That's what this racetrack is they changed the name here this year. I'm not sure why they decided to go to Echo Park. I'm not sure if they bought the track or what the name change is, but nonetheless, it is the Echo Park Speedway now, and for each and every one of these drivers, they'll be looking to try to put up a big dub here at the racetrack here this evening. Each and every one of these drivers knowing that time is running out here. They need to start making all the points they can, try to add any bonus points they may be able to get here this evening to their championship hopes on the season, as our regular season quickly coming to a close. And for all these drivers, they want to be able to put themselves right into our playoffs here this year, as our playoffs will be sponsored by Noble American here this season. So a huge shout out to them again for being our sponsor throughout our playoffs for the Noble American 2025 Hypershift Racing League playoffs. There just around the corner, and for all these drivers, they know that this could be a big wild card race where they can either end up with a bunch of extra bonus points, a bunch of points here on the day with a good run, or just trying to survive, keep yourself out of trouble. Getting a half decent finish instead of being at the back of the pack with a tore up race car may be the best bet here this year, as we'll get ready to go through our starting grid. Starting on the pole in the 20 right is the Craftsman machine of Jeremiah Nelson. Nelson will start in that pole position. To his outside in the 45, it is Dylan Picklesheimer. Starting in position number 3 in the 51 is the Rogue Machine. That is the 51 of Zach Wilson. To his outside in the Amazon 94, it's Adam Boughton. Starting in position number 5 in the Tiny Toes Ford, that is the 77 of Dalton Wicker into his outside in the 6th position. In the Caliber Collision number 11 ride, it is Chris Zofeld. Starting in position number 7 in the number, I want to say that is the number 9 ride of Al Likens, starting there in the 8th spot. To his outside will be the 54 of Justin Hendry. Hendry will start there in position number 8. Starting in the 9th spot in the number 84, that is Jonathan Cogswell. To his outside will be the 57 of Brian Fine. Fine will start there in position number 10. And then we see that 4 machine, that is Daryl Johnson, Jaden Newson, Corey Denk back there in about the 14th position. He will have the number 18 to his inside, that is Michael Carter, starting in 13th. Starting in the 15th position, the Miller Lite number 2, that is James Hudson. To his outside, the 95, that is Anthony Ludy. Then we see Tyler Chronister, Aaron Spear, Kent Mueller, Drew King, Max Cost, Gage Wenzel back in 22nd. Unfortunately for Jack Simpson, has not loaded into this race as of yet. Gage starting at the back of the pack here, and his teammate Jack Simpson not out there on the speedway to help them out here. That could be a big break for the rest of the field, knowing that they don't have an extra one of those 24-30 rides to have to compete with here this evening, as here we go, ending all the anticipation with our feature presentation. The 20 ride of Jeremiah Nelson sees that green flag fly, quickly jumps onto the loud pedal. Now this racetrack, it used to be a very fun speedway, used to be very intriguing, where you could get some big leads, you could have some big runs, as now you do see the 20 ride down to the apron here. Looks like he's about to head down pit road, so an opening lap pit stop here for that 20 ride. Okay, this is big turn of events here, having to serve a pass-through penalty here for Jeremiah Nelson. Looks like Gage Wenzel also having to serve a pit side penalty here. Jack Simpson not out there on the racetrack as of yet, but Wenzel and Nelson both down pit road, making their green flag pit stops, and now that is a big break for them, as they are losing a ton of track position, and without any real drafting help, they're probably going to go a lap down here early on this evening. Here we go, we do see the 20 ride finally making it to the end of pit road right there out of corner number 1, and then Gage Wenzel right there behind him. But here comes our race leaders in a quick hurry, built up all that speed, all that momentum. They're going to blow right on by them, and now for some of these drivers like Wenzel and for and number 20 ride of Jeremiah Nelson, they need to be able to try to catch that back tail draft here. Unfortunately, it looks like Gage Wenzel may not catch it here. That 20 ride may get lucky enough. He may be able to tag on to the back of the pack right here and keep himself just one lap down. For a driver like Gage Wenzel with no drafting help here with him, unfortunately for the 36, he may slowly but surely fall back a little farther and may end up being 2 laps down before he even knows it. That's a tough break for the Tom's Tasty Taters and Walleye Fish Sandwiches ride, as he continues to fall backwards out there on the racetrack. Is out in front, it's Zach Wilson though. Wilson with the early race lead. Boughton right there behind him in position number 2. Dalton Wicker there in third, is a little single file here throughout the top 3, top 4 drivers. See Chris Sofeld right there as well. Bottom lane definitely moving pretty solidly right here, as we do see one driver down onto the apron, unfortunately falling backwards here. That does look to be the 84 ride right there, the 44 Farmers Machine. That is Jonathan Cogswell, as Cogswell pulled down to the inside right there, and all of a sudden now has no drafting help here himself, and he's into a very tough position for that number 84. As we do see a couple drivers down through the grass, everyone trying to make their way around the speedway, everyone trying to keep themselves pointing the right direction. This is where things can get very complicated for a lot of these drivers. Whether or not you want to take it easy, as you do see the 9 ride here. I'm not sure if he's got damage. Let's take a look back here at Likens. Looks like Likens went for a ride down through the infield after some contact between him and Jaden Nelson. Let's take a look here. Bit of a bump. He's already loose there. Comes down the track across the nose of the ASL number 40 ride. And unfortunately, that's going to kill a lot of speed, a lot of momentum there for him. And for Jaden Newson, unfortunately for Jaden, he ends up down pit road here as well. He's just going to back it right up into his pit stall here and hope that the crew can go to work and maybe get this thing fixed up and repaired and back out there onto the racetrack. Obviously throwing tires onto it. That's going to put him behind the ball. So early on, some tough breaks here for the 24-30 team. Obviously, Jack Simpson not out there on the racetrack. Gage Wenzel already 1 lap down and potentially falling to maybe even 2 laps down here before we know it. And now issues for Jaden Newson as well. That is some tough breaks out there for that team early on here this evening, as Stephanie Hunt says, let's go Gage. Cheered on Gage here this evening. Gage definitely going to need some luck to go his way here, and with this field now kind of more single file, things have kind of balanced out a little bit. Drivers maybe realizing that maybe it's too early to push that hard, maybe not wanting to put themselves into that same situation and having that same catastrophic failure like the 40 ride, and maybe trying to take it a little bit easy. There's still a lot of laps, a lot of time here at the Speedway. It's a 1.5-mile racetrack. It takes, roughly about 30 seconds to navigate your way around this racetrack. So having one mistake like that, having that slip up, could cost you a lap, 2 laps, multiple laps, and take you virtually out of contention here this evening as we finally see the number 40 machine of Jaden Newson leave pit road here. So there goes that ASL number 40 ride back out onto the racetrack, and now he is about, I'm going to say, 4 laps down out there on the Speedway, and that is going to be tough to get back, especially with Gage Wenzel already being a lap down. Same with Jeremiah Nelson. So even if we were to get a caution flag or 2 for these drivers, there's still a couple waiver rounds that we need to give out here before Jaden can even get one. So virtually we would need 6 caution flags and hope no one else goes a lap down out there on the Speedway for Jaden to be able to get enough waiver rounds or lucky dogs to get himself back into the battle here this evening. As you do see that 51 ride has slid back as Adam Bounton able to pry his way up to the front of the field here. So Bounton now leads us here at Atlanta Motor Speedway with the 77 of Dalton Wicker right there on his back bumper. Wicker in the Tiny Toe 77 ride. See if he tries to make a move here. Maybe he'll leave that number 94 high and dry out there on the racetrack and maybe trying to move his way into the front of the pack here, wanting to lead some laps this evening as well for the Tiny Toes team here this evening, as Chris Zofeld rolls there in 3rd. The 4 ride of Daryl Johnson back there having a solid day here in that Busch machine as he slides there in position number 4. Dylan Picklesheimer right behind him there in the McDonald's. That's the Hamburglar ride rolling there in position number 5. And then we see James Hudson, that Miller Light machine, rolling there in position number 6 on the Speedway. I don't even know. Erit, how do you say that on that? I don't know what that company name is, but it's Michael Carter rolling there in 7th, and then we see Corey Denk, his Tiny Toes, number 17, Ryan rolling there in position number 8. Aaron Spear back there in 9th with the 99 of Tyler Chronister, up 8 positions here, now inside our top 10. The car right behind him, that 20 machine, that is Jeremiah Nelson. Jeremiah having to serve a pass-through penalty early in this race, is a lap down here. He was our pole sitter on the day, but did go a lap down. He's able to hang on to the draft though here, and currently sits in that free pass position, as we do see Anthony Ludi there in 11th. Kent Mueller back in position number 12. Justin Hendry there in 13th, with Brian Fine back in 14th, and Drew King back there in the United States Postal Service number 34 machine there in that 15th position. The 40 ride, that's Jaden Newson. Jaden went through a slide down through the infield grass. Unfortunately went a few laps down after an unsafe pit entry as a penalty that he would have gotten there, and obviously then having to serve that penalty and make that pit stop as well. Lost a ton of time down there, and now is 4 laps down. As you do see, Fine gets up a little high there through corner 1 and 2. He'll slide back a few spots as there goes Max Cost around him. Cost will now slide into that that 15th position as Fine falls back to 16th. And then we look about 11 seconds, almost 12 seconds behind this pack. And you see the 84 right here of Jonathan Cogswell. Cogswell fell back here, lost the draft himself. He's gotten lined up here with that 36 of Gage Wenzel. Wenzel's back in 20th, but for right now, they are quite a ways away from our race leaders here. They are about 14 seconds back, and that's about a half a track here away from potentially going a lap down for the 84. It's also potentially half a lap away from Gage Wenzel going 2 laps down out on the speedway. For the 9 right of Al Likens, he will go a lap down as the 9 machine gets passed right there by Adam Belton. Belton able to get around him here, but the 9 trying to hang on, try to catch this draft here, and if he can kind of stay up at the front of the pack, he would be in our lucky dog position. It's actually going to shuffle that 77 rider, Dalton Wicker, kind of out of line here. That's a tough break for Wicker, as that's going to shove him to the outside lane. He may get freight trained up there on that high side if no one jumps up there and helps him out. But now you see that number 9, Al Likens. He says, you know what? I don't want to be a lap down. I want to be leading this pack in case of a caution flag comes out. So he jumps to the outside of the 94 ride and looks to take control of this race as a driver just on the brink of being a lap down, and that's really going to mix things up. And now there's contact. Look out back behind him. Some contact here for Daryl Johnson. They're still bouncing around off each other. Somehow we keep it clean and green. I don't know how we're still rolling in the right direction here. Oh, baby, there goes the 54 ride. Justin Hendry down to the infield. There is the caution flag. So the yellow flag will finally be displayed here in this one after contact back behind him. Things kind of got a little busted up here at the front of the field, and then that's when things really got a little bit wild here. Let's take a look back and see what happened. So the 9 of Al Likens, a lap down car, decides that he doesn't want to be a lap down car anymore, decides to jump to the outside of our race leader here, Adam Belton, and put himself back on the lead lap. That's going to just kind of slide Belton back here a little bit. You see Chris Sofeld go up with that 9 ride. Here comes the 4, the 45. They all try to jump up and work themselves around Adam Belton. Now down through the infield here, the tri-oval. It looks like the 4 ride just going to get a bad bump right here from the 45 right now. I'm not sure if the 45 gets a little helping hand potentially from the 77 of Dalton Wicker. But let's take a look at it here. So big run coming. You see Wicker to the back bumper of the 45, so he is pushing that 45 ride. I think they just come with a big head of steam. The 4 ride slides up in front of them, just kind of at the wrong spot. I don't know if there was too much contact there, or if that 4 ride was already pretty loose coming out of that corner. Looks like that rear end maybe already started to slide out there just ever so slightly. Then the 45, really not a whole lot that he can do. Maybe made a little contact, but nonetheless, the 4 and the 94 end up together down into the infield here. And now this is where things get very, very interesting at a quick crease. The 94 ride goes down through the infield, so does in the 4 machine, and then it kind of stacks everybody else up here. Everyone else trying to figure out how they need to get through there as the 4 machine ends up sliding back out onto the racetrack here. That's where some of the big contact comes from, and a lot of these other drivers kind of get bound together as the 4 just carrying all that speed bounces back up the racetrack into the 18 ride of Michael Carter. Then everyone else just kind of piling in there. Everyone's trying to figure out their way to get through it, and unfortunately for the 54, he goes around. It's a little contact with that inside fence, but a few tore off race cars, and that will put us under our first caution flag of the day. So drivers now down pit side trying to get repairs. As you see the 20 ride of Jeremiah Nelson. Jeremiah will get that lucky dog and be back on the lead lap. Great break there for him. And for Al Likens, he was able to jump in front of our race leaders. And for Likens, he will now be back on the lead lap as well, and he will be at the tail of the field here for this restart. So great break there for Al Likens as well, able to jump up and make that move for Adam Belton. Probably not going to be very happy about the position he was put in there, obviously leading this race, and then, half a lap later, all of a sudden, he's getting turned down into the infield there and having some major damage and repairs to have to deal with. So that's a heartbreaker there for Belton, but we'll see if he can battle back. Obviously, some contact and damage for Ken Mueller, for Aaron Spear with some damage there, Justin Hendry. A lot of these drivers definitely in a position they did not want to be in early this evening. And now for Gage Wenzel, it's a great break for Gage as he's going to be able to catch back up to this pack, and he'll be right back into the hunt here ever so slightly as he'll be in the lead pack. He'll be able to join these guys and be able to have that draft here this evening to try to keep himself only one lap down. And now if he can get another quick caution flag, could get that free pass as he's now in the lucky dog position and could potentially get back on the lead lap here in a quick hurry back there for our 20th place driver. Our 21st place driver, Jaden Newson. Newson's going to need a he's going to need a few more caution flags than that. Maybe a couple wave rounds, a few more yellows, and hope and a prayer here to try to get himself back onto the lead lap here this evening. As Corey Dank out in front, it's Corey Dank and Dalton Wicker, our front row out there on the racetrack. So pair of tiny toes here at the front of the field, getting ready to see that green flag fly here once again from Atlanta Motor Speedway, or what's now called the Echo Park Speedway here this evening. So it is now Echo Park Speedway or Echo Park Raceway, something like that. Nonetheless, here we go, getting down through the Geico restart zone, and we will go back to battle here at Echo Park Speedway as the 77 and the 17 work perfectly there. Teammates on the front row, they're able to time that restart and slide up in front of one another, and they will go single file here and hope that they can kind of get everyone else a little bit more cool, calm, and collective. As you do see the two ride moving around, he'll slide up in front of that 45 ride of Mr. Pinkelsheimer, and here comes that 57 of Brian Fine. We've seen him a few times moving around the back of the racetrack here and trying to race his way to the front, but now there's contact. Look out, Fine in the two get tight together. Oh, baby, that's a heartbreaker right there. Heartbreaker for the two, heartbreaker for Brian Fine. Both these drivers stopped on the racetrack here. No caution flag. We keep it clean and green as they were both off of the racing surface here. Let's take a look back at it. It looked like the two right here gonna get a little bit of an extra bump and corner exit here from the 45 ride. 45 has been fairly aggressive with some of these bumps so far this evening, and unfortunately that's just going to get into the two. That's going to get him loose, shoot him down the racetrack and across the nose here of Brian Fine, and that will send him and Fine down through the infield. Now, luckily enough, they haven't had very much rain here in Atlanta, so these cars don't get too much damage here. They're not digging into the grass and tearing up those front ends or anything else, so likely enough they'll be able to keep on battling here this evening. But for the 2 and the 57, they are now without the draft, and they are quite a ways back here and potentially at risk of going a lap down here in a quick hurry. As of right now, about 21 seconds back of our race leaders there for James Hudson. For the 57 of Brian Fine, he's about 12 seconds back here of our race leaders. So both those drivers, without any drafting help, could very easily go a lap down in a quick hurry out there on the racetrack. As Dalton Wicker, Corey Dank, 1 and 2 on the speedway. It is now the 2-1-3 Simware, number 95 right of Anthony Ludi into position number 3 here this evening, and right behind him you see that 99 ride of Tyler Cronister rolling right there in position number 4 with Cogswell now back inside the top 5 here. So great rebound back to the front of the pack here for Jonathan Cogswell after having his early mishap, and now we start to see that sun coming down here. The lights will slowly but surely get turned on here at Echo Park Speedway. It should be ending under the lights here this evening, and this is where this track really starts to get beautiful. For some reason, I don't know if it's just iRacing or I don't know the graphic settings, but when this track with the sunlight on it, it's not full daytime, when it's kind of hitting at a certain angle, it definitely makes it look weird. And I'm happy that that is over with or whatever, and we get to see this pure black track, that beautiful asphalt out there, and see these drivers really have to move around, see their lines, and really be able to see their cars a whole lot better as well. So we definitely like it once that sun kind of goes away here at Echo Park Speedway, as it's always beautiful under the lights. As Jonathan Cogswell still trying to hang on to a top 5 right here. Unfortunately, the inside lane kind of falling back. It's there goes that 34 right at Drew King working to the outside lane here. It's Daryl Johnson right there on his back bumper. You'll see Al Likens right there in that mix, trying to race his way up towards the front, and that number 20 of Jeremiah Nelson as well. As how come we can't see the announcer or the lap counter on the top and driver positions? Oh, That is a good question right there. Let's switch to that. That may help us out a little bit better there. I don't know why that wasn't like that before. Thank you for letting me know that. Thank you for letting me know that. We needed to fix that. And, yeah, no camera, unfortunately for us. Our webcam decided to want to stop working there a little while ago as Jack Simpson also in the chat. Jack coming in says, hey, it's Jack Simpson. Can't race tonight, but I'm watching Jaden race in person. Both of us racing this weekend in Ottawa, so I made the trip from Halifax, and I get to watch him race tonight as well. I'll be in his in-real-life crew, chief tonight. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty dope. That's pretty awesome, man. That's honestly, that's pretty crazy. And Jaden Newson. Oh, look out! Contact, caution flag, back in on the racetrack. More contact after the yellow as Looney and the 4 get tied together as the yellow flag will come back out here at Echo Park Speedway. So the caution flag will be displayed here once again as more drivers getting tied up, turned around, and unfortunately looks like one of the Tiny Toes rides may have gotten tore up here in this one. As let's take a look here at Corey Dent. Corey was up towards the front of the pack here. They're starting to run into some lap traffic, and I'm not sure if Drew King just comes down. I'm not sure if he thought he was clear of the 17 or didn't realize that he was going to be down so low right there and have that run to his inside. Let's take a look here at it as the 34 up on the high side. Take a look at the 17. 17 gets a good run down low and just looks like the 34, yeah, loses the outside grip there and goes around and over the nose there with Corey Dent. That's a tough break there for Corey and Drew King. They will slide down into the infield. Now, they were lucky enough to catch a caution flag right there as obviously there was more contact after the number 4 ride and the 95 also get tied together right here. Caution flag already coming out as Ludi and the 4 of Johnson get tied together. Around goes that 4 ride. The 95, luckily enough, able to keep himself pointed in the right direction for the most of it. And hopefully no one else gets tore up here in this one as he spin after the caution flag was already thrown. Luckily enough, does look like the 4 gets checked up, doesn't roll back up onto the speedway there, and doesn't tear up any more drivers here this evening. It's Mr. Holler. What's good, Holler? Holler coming in, showing the love. What's good, mister? How are you? Mr. Holler showing the love, says, hey, how are you, brother? How you doing? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful day as, yeah, lots of contact, lots of beating and banging. Drivers now headed down pit side, working on their race cars, trying to get their things figured out, trying to work on their race cars, hoping that they can get them absolutely picture perfect here and rolling fine again this evening. As let's take another look back at it as the 95 ride of Anthony Ludi. He was having a good run here just inside the top 5, and then he gets a front row seat of that contact between the first 2 cats, and then I'm not sure if he manually threw that caution flag or whatnot to kind of get him up the track into the 4 ride there. Luckily enough for Johnson, able to keep his handle on it and not take anyone else out as we'll get everyone kind of stacked up, racked up, and ready to go back to green flag racing. And now for one driver that is going to be very happy to see that caution flag is Gage Wenzel. Wenzel, who went a lap down after making that early race pass-through penalty for the 36. He is back onto the lead lap here this evening. That is a great break there for that 36 machine, as we did see James Hudson also run into problems there before that yellow flag was without the draft, was about to go a lap down. He was just in front of our race leaders, and luckily enough that yellow flag coming out at a perfect time and keeping himself on the lead lap here this evening. Same with the number, I do believe it was the 57 rider, Brian Fine there as well. Fines went down pit side. He's gotten those repairs that he needed for the Mac number 57 ride, and he'll get rolling here again on the racetrack. And for Brian Fine, he'll be able to stay on the lead lap as well. Max Cost rolling back out onto the track, and as of right now, does look like Jaden Newson is the first car a lap down. Now he is multiple laps down. Going to need a few more caution flags and wave rounds to try to put himself back onto the lead lap. And for Zach Wilson, Wilson's also down and out of this race. I didn't even realize that since lap 10, Zach Wilson has not been on the speedway. He must have lost connection here to this race. So we've lost Zach Wilson, Jack Simpson not out there. Jaden Newson now multiple laps down here this evening as well. So that is very, very tough break there for the 40 ride, the 51 and the 24, but we did hear from Jack Simpson over there on our Facebook live stream as Jack, he's in Ottawa watching Jaden race in person here and being his in real life crew chief tonight. So that's absolutely awesome to see as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and back to green flag racing as here we go. Green flag back out into the air for Dalton Wicker as Wicker able to get another good restart here, but doesn't have his Tiny Toes teammate right here with him, and Al Likens looking to try to move around him here. Likens to the outside wanting to take that race lead away from Dalton Wicker. As the 9 ride goes to the high side, it looks like Jeremiah Nelson will go with them, but here comes that Gearhead Coffee Company number 54 ride of Justin Hendry. Hendry right there into the mix. Is there 2 now? 3 wide here at the front of the field is the 95 ride of Anthony Ludy. Poked his nose up there looking to try to make it a 3 wide battle. Thought better of it down through that tri-oval and was able to roll out of the throttle, keep on battling here, and live to see another day. That could have gotten very, very tight in a quick curry. 3 wide is very tough to do here at Echo Park Speedway. So fast, so tight, especially down here on quarter exits and through these like little tri-oval areas here, these little front straightaway chicanes almost, and sometimes 3 wide can produce a lot of issues out there on the racetrack. So good to see that they didn't quite go there this early in the race. We're only 36 laps down in this race here this evening, so a lot of laps left to go here today. So for each and every one of these drivers to keep yourself out of trouble and not have early issues is going to be the key to success here this evening. And for some have already used up their quick repairs, have already had multiple times down pit road to fix damage, and if you get tied up in another big wreck here, especially later in this race or at any point in time out there on the speedway, your night can be done, your goose can be cooked in a quick curry. So you want to make sure you can kind of mind your P's and Q's, keep yourself kind of out of trouble, and hope that you don't have to go down pit road for any more repairs here, especially if you've already used up that quick repair on the evening. So when you look back at drivers like Adam Boughton or Michael Carter or Zofeld, some of these guys that have ran into early contact and damage, Daryl Johnson even, you look back at Brian Fine, who had some damage there on his car. Some of these drivers using up their quick repairs and putting themselves into a position where potentially if they get tore up later in this race, it may be too much work to do before even getting that car back out onto the racetrack. So they may be having an early exit unless if they can just keep themselves clean out there. But right now it's unlike Donkey Kong. These drivers are not backing down as the 9 rider Al Likens again working that outside lane, pulls door to door here with Dalton Wicker. Wicker trying to keep himself out in front, has that inside lane hooked up and rolling down the back straightaway, but the outside lane still hanging even here as the 9 of Al Likens, the 20 of Jeremiah Nelson, the 45 of Dylan Picklesheimer, all working that outside lane as well with Anthony Ludy there, the 94 of Adam Boughton, that number 90. Or actually, it's the 18 ride there. Michael Carter in that battle as well, working that outside lane here and finding some great speed up there, man. They are actually working themselves now clear of that 77, and for Dalton Wicker, he's going to fall back now to about that 3rd position. We'll have to wait and see if that inside lane can get formed again and work themselves back around that outside group, but we could see this 20 or the 9 ride elect to leave that high side lane high and dry and jump right down low and in front of the 77. As now you do see the 45 ride of Picklesheimer. Picklesheimer now clear of the 77 as well, but not for long, as here comes Wicker trying to battle back as they're going to lose another driver to the outside lane. That's going to only make it worse for that inside group, but now you do see the 920 and the 45 elect to jump down low. And I thought we were going to see Wicker elect to go to the outside groove right there, but he'll stay glued to the back bumper of the 45, but there goes Justin Hendry. Hendry will take a big run. He'll jump to the outside here. he's hoping that he can get a little help here as quickly as possible, as there goes the 99 right of Tyler Cronister. Cronister will say thank you for that position. He'll slide down low, and around him is now the 45 right, hoping that Anthony Ludi wants to play nice here, get to his back bumper, and try to help push him towards the front of the field. And who may jump up there in front of him here, who may throw some blocks, who may try to make their way to the front of the field here before that 54 run. We'll have to wait and see if anyone decides to make some big moves out there on the speedway. As Al Likens, though, Likens continuing to lead this race out in front, showing these drivers how to get it done here in this one, as these drivers putting on one heck of a show for us here this evening, man. This has been a heck of a show, heck of a battle, lap after lap after lap. These guys have been putting together some great racing action, and for all the fans in the stands, hopefully you guys are enjoying this battle here this evening at the beautiful Echo Park Speedway, as the Hypershift Racing League back in action. They had their summer break. Obviously, we had our July 4th weekend, and then we had a week off there, so a couple weeks away from the racetrack here for the HRL group. And for all the fans of the stands, I know you guys were itching and hoping to see these guys back out there. I know these drivers were kind of foaming at the mouth, wanting to get back out here onto the speedway, wanting to jump back into this battle here for this championship and everything else. And now finally getting back out there, the the anticipation and everything else, man, is built up for each and every one of us, and we're super happy to see the Hypershift Racing League back in action here this evening, and so far putting on a hell of a show for us. Is down across the line. They will complete lap number 46, so 46 laps down. Still 104 laps left to go. Still a lot of racing, a lot of time to either fall backwards, move forwards, or run into issues here throughout the evening. So it'll be interesting to see who's going to be able to find their way towards the front of the field, who's going to be able to time pit stops perfectly here, as if we stay clean and green here for a little while, potentially green flag pit stops may be on the horizon. We did see virtually everybody down pit road right there around lap number 32, except for a few drivers. Al Likens, Jeremiah Nelson, Dalton Wicker, Tyler Cronister, the 84 rider Jonathan Cogswell. Does look like Gage Wenzel as well, who is now up into position number 11 here, almost up inside the top 10 for Gage. So great break there with a couple of those caution flags. Anthony Ludi, Aaron Spear, and a few more of these drivers were last down pit road around lap number 20 here this evening, and we see a slew of drivers that were down pit road around lap 32, lap 33. So having that 12, 13 lap better tires or 12, 13 lap better fuel mileage out there on the racetrack may really change things up here for green flag pit stops. We'll have to wait and see when drivers are forced to come down pit road, when they're in that area where they have to make their way down pit side, try to get some changes in fuel and tires and everything else that they desire down pit road here, and kind of see where this kind of puts them all. But that's the big question mark, as pit stops. When do you come down pit road? When is time to go make that move here, especially for those drivers that have to come down pit road on lap number 20. Now, the big thing with Echo Park Speedway is the pit road entry. At Atlanta Motor Speedway, the old racetrack and the old style, it used to be right here off of corner number 4, right where pit road virtually starts. That's where you would go down pit road here at this racetrack. Now, you still go down there, but you have to enter pit road down this back straightaway. Now that this is more of a super speedway racetrack and not just a regular mile-and-a-half speedway, they don't use that turnoff on quarter 4. You have to come down pit road right there on the entry to corner number 3 on the back straightaway is where you enter pit road here at Echo Park Speedway. So you gotta make a very long trip around this racetrack, and if you're going down pit road earlier than a lot of other people, or there's a caution flag that happens as you're coming down pit road, then obviously you can go a couple laps down in a quick quick hurry out there on the racetrack, and that is not a place you want to be. It's tough to make your way back even just one lap down. We saw that number 36 rider Gage Wenzel went a lap down early in this race, probably on lap 2-3 out there on the racetrack, and it took him virtually 40 plus laps and a bunch of caution flags to be able to work himself back onto the lead lap here for the Tom's Tasty Taters and Walleye Fish Sandwiches ride. So for some of these drivers, as the laps continue to click down, and it's going to get tougher and tougher to get these laps back, and especially if there's multiple drivers that are a lap or multiple laps down out there on the racetrack, it's going to really hurt your chances in trying to win this race here this evening. As Al Likens, though, out in front, continue to lead the way. We'll have to wait and see when these drivers decide to come down pit road. Now, they have had a few caution laps here as well to be able to save a little bit of fuel out there on the racetrack, not really burn too much up out there, but down across the line, they completed lap number 53, and now that is virtually 33 laps since they were down pit side. So we'll have to wait and see where this fuel mileage kind of takes them. Is it 40 lap run? Do we see them maybe make it 50 laps before having to come down pit road? Will we see them come down pit side around the halfway marker? When is that time they have to come down pit road? And you got to find your friends out there. You cannot make single car pit stops here at a super speedway. If you do not come down with a pack and you do not leave pit road with a pack and you get left high and dry without any pitting partners, then you can be put into a very difficult position in a quick hurry. And for a lot of these other drivers that were down pit side on lap 32, lap 33, they could be sitting in a very good position as they can roll probably another 10, 12, 13 laps longer than these other drivers, where that could put them a couple laps down. That could put them into a very tough position, and we may see a caution flag in that time frame and really trap those guys back there behind them. So that could definitely be a strategy call to run it out a little bit longer and try to set themselves up for maybe trying to trap a few of these other cats a lap or multiple laps down out there on the racetrack. As Al Likens, though, continues to lead the way, it's Jeremiah Nelson right there in position number 2. Dylan Picklesheimer there in third in that beautiful Hamburglar McDonald's number 45 ride. Dalton Wicker in the Tiny Toe 77 rolls there in fourth with the Walmart number 99 ride. It's Tyler Chronister there in third. The 44 Farms, the number 84 of Jonathan Cogswell. Cogswell rolls there in that sixth position with the Tiny Toe 17 at Corey Denk there in seventh. The 94 ride of Adam Boughton back in 8th with his teammate in the 96. That is Aaron Spear there in 9th. The Caliber Collision number 11 ride of Chris Zofeld rounding out our top 10 out there on the racetrack is Anthony Ludy, the 95. The Adidas 213 Simware Hypershift Racing League 95 ride of Ludy rolls there just outside our top 10. The Bush number 4 of Daryl Johnson there in 12th. Max Koss working to his inside in that 063 machine as Koss rolls there in position number 13 on the racetrack. The Miller Light number 2 machine, that is James Hudson. Hudson rolls in 14th with the Mac number 57. Brian Fine there in 15th. The Gearhead Coffee number 54, that is the 54 ride of Justin Hendry back in 16th. Gage Wenzel and his Tom's Tasty Taters and Walleye Fish Sandwiches 2430, number 36 machine there in 17th. Kent Mueller in his American Legion number 8 ride, the Be The One machine there in position number 16 as he's able to work himself around Gage Wenzel and around the 2 ride as James Hudson gets up. Hard contact into the outside fence. You see that heavy right front damage here. Let's see if we can play this back quickly and take a look and see what happens to that Miller Lite machine as he's going to send it down into corner number 1, and looks like a little contact there between him and the 40 ride. Looks like Jaden Newsom just going to get in there, give him a shot, and that's unfortunately just going to spin this 2 ride sideways, puts him up into the wall. Pretty solid contact there for that right front. Obviously losing that draft and now being put into a very tough position as he may go a lap down in a quick hurry. But that does put Drew King there in position number 18 on the racetrack, as you do see the 18 actually take that 18th position away. It's Michael Carter and Drew King back there deeper in the field in the 18th and 19th position. Hudson now back in 20th as Jaden Newson, Zach Wilson, and Jack Simpson bring up the rear of the field. Unfortunately for Wilson and Simpson, both no longer out there on the racetrack. So we started with 23 drivers. We only got 21 left out there on the speedway as of right now, as out in front, the 9 ride of Al Likens. Continuing to lead the way. Al Likens out in front, down across the line. They will click off lap number 62 here this evening. And for all these drivers that were down pit road on lap number 20, it's all about how much they saved during those yellow flags and those slow pace laps out there on the racetrack. As of right now, they have about 42 laps on their tires, 42 laps worth of fuel burnt off these race cars, potentially a little bit of savings during some of those yellow flags, and potentially able to give themselves a few extra laps here. We'll have to wait and see when they finally elect to come down pit road. It's now 63 laps up and onto the board. It has now been about 43 laps since they were down pit side here, and fuel could start to become a big question, and green flag pit stops may be on the horizon for these drivers, and that could make things very interesting, trying to work themselves down pit road and trying to put themselves into a position to be able to work themselves here, into a winning position this afternoon, as I feel like a lot of these drivers are either moving backwards or trying to get lined up here. We'll have to wait and see when we start to see more teammates going to get worked up. You want to get down to the inside lane here to be able to head down pit road, and now you do see the 11 ride. He's looking down low. Is there a little bit of 3 wide right there? My gosh, that 57 of Brian Fine in that inside lane back behind him really had to get checked up right there, as it looked like the 11 was going to come down across the nose of Brian Fine. Fine had that happen to him early in this race. Did not want to have that happen again here, so he quickly got onto the binders, was able to get checked up and not get ran over from Justin Hendry or any of these other drivers back there behind him. So good heads up piece of driving there for that 57 ride, as Boughton trying to navigate his way back up towards the front here, as the 45 ride of Dylan Picklesheimer all the way back into that 10th position. Picklesheimer trying to head down to the inside row here as well. Looks like he finally gets there to the inside lane, and now it's going to be interesting, though. When do we see these cats come down pit side? It's going to be fun to watch how these guys are going to be able to navigate these pit stops. A lot of these teams do not have a lot of drivers in them. They're normally about, 4-car, 3-car packs of teammates out there on the racetrack. So to be able to come down pit road here, you want to try to have some friends or potentially come down with a lot of these other drivers. But if you're not getting that information, if you don't know when they're coming down pit road, then you can put yourself into a very tough spot. Now, the Slightly Dangerous Racing team probably has about the most people in their party out there on the racetrack, as they have Jeremiah Nelson, James Hudson, Picklesheimer, Daryl Johnson, Chris Sofeld, and Al Likens, a part of the Slightly Dangerous Racing team over there in the Discord. So there's about 6 of them that are having continuous communication on about when they want to come down pit side, when they want to make these green flag pit stops for teams like the RTR Motorsports Group. Brian Fine and Justin Hendry, they're a 2-car pack for their the lap down racing crew of Drew King and Jonathan Cogswell. That's another 2-car pack for the 2430 Esports of Gage Wenzel and Jaden Newson. It's another 2-car team. So there's a lot of teams that are a lot smaller when you look at the Tiny Toes rides. It's only Corey Denk and Dalton Wicker, so that's another 2-car pack out there compared to obviously the 6 or so that are in the Slightly Dangerous Racing group, or the 5 that are a part of the Revolution Motorsports with Aaron Spear, Adam Boughton, Ludi, Kent Mueller, and Michael Carter out there on the racetrack. So it's kind of David versus Goliath out there on the speedway, and when you need to make these green flag pit stops and you need to kind of work together with a few of these other teams to have that communication and to kind of know when is go time, when is the time to make this pit stop and not run over top of each other or run into other issues, it can become very treacherous in a quick hurry out there on the speedways. We do see Anthony Ludi quite a bit farther forward here. He is now up into that 6th position. Unfortunately, most of his teammates are a little ways back there behind him, but when do we see him potentially pull the triggers? Here we go. We do see a bunch starting to head down pit road. Oh, baby, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's on like Donkey Kong. Here they come down pit side. Looks like it's Al Likens who will lead them down pit road. So Al Likens, Jeremiah Nelson, Tyler Chronister, Dylan Picklesheimer, Chris Sofeld, Justin Hendry, Gage Wenzel, Jaden Newson, all down pit road here together. So that's about an 8-car pack that just came down pit road, all right there, nose to tail down pit side. Now they want to make sure they have good, consistent pit stops. Everyone can kind of come down pit road, make their stops there, and that's not what you want to see out of the 99 ride. As Chronister, unfortunately, a little too far there in his pit stall, had to throw it in reverse and back it up as all these drivers getting fuel, getting tires. There goes the rest of the field as Dalton Wicker back out in front now has control of this race once again. Now Wicker was also down pit road on lap number 20. A lot of those drivers were either down pit road on lap 20 or just after lap 20 out there on the racetrack. So interesting to see kind of what the fuel mileage game is going to look like and whether or not, this 77 run can continue to keep on rolling for a while. If they see a caution flag fly, it's going to trap James Hudson and a lot of these other drivers like Al Likens, Jeremiah Nelson, Dylan Picklesheimer, Justin Hendry, a lap down out there on the racetrack. Chris Sofeld there as well as Gage Wenzel and Tyler Chronister. And unfortunately for those drivers, they're not really lined up nose to tail out there on the speedway. There's quite a bit of gap between them, so they're not getting a good draft out there on the racetrack, and that's just going to bring this group quickly back to him here. As now we do see, here we go, second wave coming down pit road, not going to wait much longer, being led by Dalton Wicker, Corey Denk, both down pit side. Here comes Anthony Ludi, Michael Carter, Adam Boughton, Aaron Spear, and Jonathan Cogswell, all coming down pit side that time. So another wave of race cars down pit road here this evening. So that's another interesting group coming down pit lane. As we do see the Revolution Motorsports group down pit side, the Tiny Toast team down pit road working together here. And we do see where kind of Brian Fine and all these other drivers are sitting as they were down pit road on lap 32 or lap 33. So for Fine, Daryl Johnson, Kent Mueller, the 63 ride of Max Koss, Drew King, even James Hudson, who is still a lap down there, but in the lucky dog position for that number 2 ride. They can roll out here for quite a bit longer than everybody else, as we are about to be just over halfway through this race. So halfway in, halfway to go here this evening. Is now 76 laps completed here today. We do see Drew King. This is a heartbreaker as Drew King down pit road all by himself. That is not what you want to see for Drew King. That is a big oopsie out there on the racetrack, is now you're going to be coming down pit road by yourself. More than likely you're going to be coming out of pit lane by yourself, and that could put you into a very tough spot, especially when he's not quite into his pit stall there. Kind of stopped a little bit too far early and then had to kind of get rolling there again, and that's going to kill just a little bit of time, and that's enough to really hurt you out there on the racetrack as Brian Fine continues to lead the way. Fine out in front with Daryl Johnson there in second. Kent Mueller and Max Koss are top 4 out there on the racetrack. James Hudson, who's in this group right here, he is the first car, 1 lap down out there on the racetrack, and then we see Corey Denk a little farther back. Corey Denk, Dalton Wicker, that would be technically our first and second place drivers if things kind of cycle through and the rest of the drivers in front of them come down pit side, but they don't have a whole lot of drafting help compared to this group back behind them, being led by Al Likens, Jeremiah Nelson, Dylan Picklesheimer. There's that 54, Justin Hendry, as this is the rest of the field virtually lined up right here as we do take a look. Chris Sofeld at the back of that pack for Jonathan Cogswell. No drafting help out there to his back bumper. Drew King does jump back out there. Now he may be able to get lined up here with these drivers in this lead pack, but if he can't catch up to them, he will fall back into the grasp with some of these other drivers a little farther back behind him here this evening. And now for a few of these drivers, they definitely do not want to be put into a position where they go 2 laps down out there on the racetrack, and that's exactly where this 99 ride is right now. Unfortunately for Tyler Chronister, a mistake down pit side, no drafting help there for him. He has fallen 2 laps down on the racetrack, and now we do see Max Koss down pit road. Koss makes his way down pit side all by himself, and the caution flag flies. A yellow flag here. This is going to be a this is going to be be a big yellow flag, as that is going to really affect the outcome of this race. It's going to really affect Brian Fine, Daryl Johnson, Kent Mueller, as they're out in front of the field here. They are on the lead lap. Everyone else back behind them is either a lap down or multiple laps down out there on the racetrack. So that is a tough break for them. And for James Hudson, he is in position for the lucky dog here, the free pass to get back onto the lead lap. Now, for a lot of these other drivers that are one lap down, like Max Cost, Al Likens, Jeremiah Nelson, all these drivers that are one lap down, they should be able to get the wave around here and be put back onto the lead lap this evening, which is a great break for them. Unfortunately, that will put them still behind the three drivers back there at the front of the field. They will still be lined up behind them here, so they're going to lose some track position. Now, tire wear isn't going to be a major effect, but they are going to have a lot less fuel in their rides once again, where it could put them into the same position later in this race, where Fine, Johnson, Mueller can run a little bit longer here and potentially put themselves into more of a winning situation now, as 81 laps completed here today, as Brian Fine, Daryl Johnson, Kent Mueller making their easy breezy caution pit stop right there and able to roll back in on the racetrack. They will stay 1, 2, and 3 out there on the speedways. Let's take a look back. It looks like the 11 ride here at Chris Zofeld. Looks like Zofeld and the 96 ride here at Aaron Spear are going to make some contact. A little net code right there. I'm not too sure what happened. Unfortunately, some contact puts the 11 down onto the apron. He's trying to hang on to it. Rolls back up onto the racetrack. Does get a piece of that outside fence. And finally goes around and stopped there on the speedway. And that's where we will see the yellow flag fly, as that was our race leaders right there in front of them that luckily enough just narrowly avoided that 11 machine. As let's take another look back at it here as he bounces off this 96 ride. I don't know where he was going with it. No push and help to his back bumper, but obviously getting a run, going to the outside of Aaron Spear. I'm not sure where he was going to try to go, as a lot of teammates got lined up right in front of him. See if we can get another angle at this one with a little bit of a far chase here. He gets a good run. He's drawn to the back end of that 96. Goes to the outside, and then maybe neck code or just getting a little loose there himself. You kind of see that car wiggling a little bit as he pulls out and makes that move. So I'm not sure if he's just kind of losing it all by himself right there. The car kind of kicks out, kind of comes back down the racetrack here, and then maybe a little neck code, maybe just a little adjustment trying to stay out of the 96 ride, and washes himself up into the outside fence, and then slides down here onto the apron and just kind of keeps sliding on the apron, keeps sliding, and back up onto the racetrack right here. And unfortunately, kind of just stings right on the racing surface there. You figured you probably would have rolled down to the apron a little sooner and into the way of the rest of the field there. Luckily enough, everyone was able to avoid him and keep themselves out of trouble and keep on battling here, as that will put us back under the yellow flag, and that will give us another opportunity here to kind of line everybody up, as Brian Fine out in front, Johnson there in second, Kent Mueller in position number 3. There is that 2 ride of James Hudson. Hudson is technically scored in position number 4 out there on the racetrack, but he will take the lucky dog and come down pit road. Now that probably will still put him back there in position a little deeper in the field here after taking that wave around and the lucky dog. Now everyone else did take that wave around. You look at Max Koff, Al Likens, Jeremiah Nelson, Picklesheimer, Corey Denk, Hendry, Dalton Wicker, Ludi, all these drivers, they are back onto the lead lap here this evening, which is a great break for them now with this restart and them taking the wave around. They can't line up door to door. They have to stay single file here for those wave around cars. They don't line up side by side here being waved around race cars. For Tyler Chronister, though, unfortunately for the 99 ride, he was able to get a wave around, but he is still a lap down, as he was 2 laps down there on the racetrack. Same with Drew King, and now for Chris Zofeld, he's a few laps down back there in 20th, and that's just going to make matters worse for Jaden Newson, as Newson, after going 4 laps down early in this race, it's looking very unlikely that he will get those laps back, as obviously Chronister, Drew King, Chris Zofeld will need to get all their lucky dogs before he'll get any of them and try to inch his way back towards the lead lap here this evening. So it looks like he will probably be stuck back there for quite a while, unless if we see a few more drivers drop out of this race where he may be able to gain a few positions that way this evening. Tough break for him, as you do see Hudson gets lined up here at the back of the pack after his late pit stop there, and that will get us lined up and ready to go here. So our front two rows will be door to door. Some of the lap traffic still in between these drivers and our fourth place cat. As you take a look at Brian Fine, Darrell Johnson, Ken Mueller there at the front of the field. The first car that's on the lead lap that took the wave around is lined up here about the fifth row back. That is the 63 ride of Max Koss. Koss is there in position number 4 on the racetrack, and some lap traffic he has to work through as all these other drivers back behind him, and we'll get ready to go back to battle and duke it out. Luckily enough, being a super speedway, shouldn't take much to try to get yourself back into the battle, back up to the front, but that fuel mileage could be the big question mark for a lot of these drivers, as the 4 ride does fall back quite quickly here inside lane. Just absolutely zooming as we are back to battle here at Echo Park Speedway here this evening from the beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for all these Hypershift Racing League drivers, as they've been putting on a hell of a show for us here this evening, and we are far from done here today. Still a lot of laps left to go, as down across the line, lap 85 will be clicked off the board here this evening, and we got 65 laps of racing action left to go here today. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're just over our halfway marker here in this race. We're going to jump into our Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So what we want you guys to do is crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here with the Hypershift Racing League. Caution flag on the racetrack. You see these cars turned around on the back straightaway as the yellow flag will be displayed again here this evening. As lap 95 and we get a few cars turned around here back of the pack. Let's take a look and see what happens to Brodas back under the yellow flag here this evening. As there was some contact down in through corner number 1 and 2 here, and who will lead between the 63 and the number 17 of Corey Dink here. Let's take a look at it as Corey kind of working the bottom lane right here. Actually, it's the 4 right up on the top shelf. Oh, tough break there for Daryl Johnson as Johnson, I'm not sure if he gets contact here from the 40 ride of Jaden Newson, as it looks like Jaden's on his back bumper. Let's take a look here at the 4 of Daryl Johnson. Maybe the contact here between him and that 40 machine. Jaden is right there. Looks like he's rolled off the back bumper here. Maybe just aerily. Nope, here he goes. Back to the rear bumper. Unfortunately, just gives him a push. Wrong spot in the wrong area of the corner. And unfortunately, just spins that car right down the racetrack into the lap there of Max Cost. Nowhere for Cost to go. And that's just going to check everybody up here as you see everyone just kind of shuffling around. Everyone trying to figure out where they need to go. And that's just siding all these drivers around. Everyone trying to pick and choose a lane to jump into for Loot. He's kind of stuck in the middle. You see Wicker in the 36 right of Wenzel. They're tight together up against the outside fence. They get tied together again off the wall for the 36, and it just spins that 77 down the racetrack, which puts the 94 into the 95, which spins the other tiny toes right around. And obviously you see the 36 trying to hang on to his ride. There's nowhere to go for the 84 ride there, as well as Cogswell gets tore up in it, gets some pretty good front end contact, and for a lot of these drivers get turned around, some pretty solid contact there for that 96 machine, as well as he was trying to navigate his way through that mayhem. And unfortunately for Aaron Spear, does get some pretty good contact himself. Let's see if we can take a look back here, maybe jump on board with this 96 and see what he can see as he jumped down quickly here to the apron, trying to avoid all this chaos. And as he jumped down low, obviously things kind of continue to get out of hand, and had to make some big moves here to try to avoid major contacts. As there's the initial issue, you see everyone checking up. He jumps right down to the apron, continues to stay on the apron, ends up into the inside fence there ever so slightly, but they're still wrecking around him. There's the 36 right in front of him. That's what kind of gets him bent out of shape, slides back up the track into the outside wall. So a little bit of contact there for him, and quite a few drivers all of a sudden having some issues out there on the racetrack. Let's see if we can jump on board here with Dalton Wicker, as Wicker was kind of right around it here. He was kind of one of the first drivers that kind of got messed up here as he sees it happen right in front of him. Corey Dank, his teammate, has to get checked up there as well, and just washes up the track. And then the 36 to the outside, they get bouncing around each other, and woo, doggy, not a whole lot you can do except for hang on and hope for the best. And unfortunately for a lot of these drivers, they did not get their best right there. Quite a bit of damage, a lot of tore up race cars, but their crews are going to work, getting them fixed up and getting them back out there on the racetrack and ready to rumble here once again. As now out in front, it is the 57 of Brian Fine, the 8 ride of Kent Mueller, as we did see virtually everybody come down pit road right there. Now, a lot of drivers probably didn't take tires, but probably took some fuel here, as they're probably getting very, very close to their pit window here and where they can make it to the end of this race without having to come back down pit road here today. So we'll have to wait and see how this is going to play out and who will be down pit road to be able to make these pit stops. And as Sean O'Keefe, Sean, how are you? Sean coming in says, go 36 to the front, and then says, ouch, directly afterwards. Yeah, that was a bit of an ouch right there, maybe a little bit of a jinx there on that 36 riders. Here we go, getting ready to go back to Green Flag Racing and back to our Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, get ready to enjoy some more amazing racing action here with the Hypershift Racing League as we go back to our Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. Caution flag on the racetrack as you get a first-hand look at it as the 95 ride of Anthony Ludi absolutely tore apart here on the front straightaway. There's a red flag out there on the speedway and a big hit there for the 95. He'll have to tow that race car right back down pit side as that will bring a close to our Peacemaker Gaming crank it up here this evening. Man, what a absolute chaotic hit right there for Anthony Ludi and all these other drivers, man. That was a massive one here on the front straightaway. Let's take a look at it and see what happens. Is watch the 54 on the outside lane. That is the car you're going to look at, the Gearhead Coffee ride, the Gear Oil Coffee flavor here this evening, as unfortunately for Mr. Hendry, he's going to get a little loose here on corner exit at Echo Park Speedway. Unfortunately, as he's kind of getting slideways here on the racetrack, he is going to end up sliding right down into the 95 right at Anthony Ludi. It washes them both back up the racetrack across the nose of the 45, but it slams this number 95 into that outside fence. And look at Dalton Wicker, nowhere to go, slams into the 40 right. That 95 still bouncing around. Here comes Gage Wenzel in there as well. Wenzel, heavy front end damage as he drives into the back end of that 95 right. Look at that car get absolutely tore apart. Not a straight fender, not a straight body panel left on that thing. Rear end, all these fenders, everything just absolutely busted apart here. That car is absolutely fried here this evening, and man, that is brutal. Is now Emma. It's Emma's turn now, Sean. Sean says no jinx. Unfortunately, Emma comes in with the let's go Gage, and all of a sudden Gage Wenzel right in this one as well, as we were right on board with Ludi, and we got first-hand look at that crazy wreck and how that one kind of played out. Let's see if we can get another angle at it here as man, this is just a huge hit here for the 54, the 40, the 95 right. Hard contact into that outside wall right here. Is there you go. There's the contact and bam, right into that wall. And everyone slamming in here into it, man. You look at the 77 of Dalton Wicker. Wicker's going to have absolutely nowhere to go here in this one. Same with that 36 right of Gage Wenzel. Let's take a look at Wenzel. He's a little farther back here. That's the 77 right in front of him. And as this is happening, they're trying to get checked up. Nowhere to go. Heavy front end damage there for Gage Wenzel. Heavy front end damage for the 77 right of Dalton Wicker, but unfortunately that is going to put Justin Hendry, Anthony Ludi, and Jaden Newson probably down pit sign for a very long time here this evening, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to try to go back to green flag races. There you go. You still see that 95 ride down pit road. Justin Hendry looks like he's getting that car fixed up. Looks like the crew has went to work and they've gotten this thing repaired, and he's rolling back out onto the racetrack. That's a good break for him. Unfortunately, he is already about 3 laps down out there on the racetrack. Ludi still down pit road. Crew still going to work here. Jaden Newson still down pit side. Unfortunately for Jaden, I believe his night may be over as he used that quick repair early on this evening and does not have that quick repair any longer. So his night may be done as he's going to have many minutes of repairs to do here this evening. As we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to green flag racing here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button as we'll get ready to go back to green flag racing here with the Hypershift Racing League. Live from Echo Park Speedway here, the new Atlanta Motor Speedway. I suppose you want to call it the new Atlanta Motor Speedway is now the Echo Park Speedway. I don't like the name change. I like Atlanta Motor Speedway better than Echo Park Speedway. The Echo Park Speedway just sounds more commercialized, more corporate, more boring. It's Atlanta Motor Speedway. Is Bones, what's good, Bones? Bones coming in, showing the love. How are you, brother? How you doing today? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful evening, as Jonathan Cogswell and Corey Deck now are race leaders here. Jeremiah Nelson, the 9 right, Al Likens there in 3rd and 4th, as pretty much everybody except for the 84 and the 17 were down pit road on that caution flag right there. Everyone else came down pit side, got repairs, got fuel, got tires, got everything that they desire, and they should be good to go to the end of this race without probably having to make another green flag pit stop for Corey Denk and Justin Hendry. Fuel may become a very close gamble here for them. I'm not sure what the gamble was. Obviously trying to get that track position and one being up towards the front of the field here, but you see how quickly the 17 ride falls backwards here, and not having potentially that extra fuel may hurt his chances later in this race. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out for Corey Denk and how it plays out for Cogswell. So right now Cogswell able to hang on to the race lead, but he does have that 20 ride of Jeremiah Nelson right there on his back bumper. Jeremiah trying to work his way to the point here this evening. He was quickest in qualified in that pole position, went a lap down early in this race, but now you start to see him get a little bit more split up here as the 9 rider Al Likens had to get onto the binders right there. The 45 of Dylan Picklesheimer leaves him high and dry up there on the outside lane. Now he gets picked up by Kent Mueller, so Mueller now onto Al's back bumper here, trying to push that outside lane as they got Brian Fine up there, the 18 ride of Michael Carter there, as well as the 63 of Max Costes. You do see that 54 ride, unfortunately, here for Justin Hendry. Hendry is still a couple laps down here, at least 2 laps down out there on the racetrack, and it's going to be a lot to be able to get those laps back for a driver like Dalton Wicker. For Wicker, luckily enough, he was able to stay on the lead lap, get that car repaired, have you use that quick repair, but able to keep on battling here this evening, and now with very minimal laps left in this race, he's still in the hunt and very much could put himself into the winning position. But I feel like for the next probably 15 to 20 laps, he's going to try to take it very, very easy back here, a little deeper in the field, where if there is a big wreck in front of him, he can try to get checked up and avoid it, as if he gets tore up one more time, if he gets another big hit like he just did, his night may come to an early end out there on the racetrack. So you do see Anthony Ludi still down pit side, unfortunately for Jaden Newson. Newson has taken his car back down behind pit wall here this evening. So we start with 23. We're down to only about 18 drivers left out there on the speedways. It looks like James Hudson, his night is over as well. So Zach Wilson, James Hudson, Jaden Newson, Jack Simpson, looks like their nights have come to an early end. And for Anthony Ludi, he is now multiple laps down, and I'm not sure if he will be rejoining the field here this evening or not. We'll have to wait and see if the 95 jumps back out there onto the racetrack, as out in front, out of that track position's working out well here for that 84 ride as Jonathan Cogswell continues to lead the way here. 120 laps complete and only 30 laps left to go here in this race. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty for each and every one of these drivers as these laps continue to get clicked off, and we inch closer and closer to our checkered flag. It's time to go. It's unlike Donkey Kong. You can't hold back, but when is your time to make a move here? When do you try to jump in a line if you're that 20 ride of Jeremiah Nelson? Do you want to be at the front of the field leading this race at the white flag, or do you want to be back here maybe in that second or third spot and have control of your own destiny of trying to jump up and make the move to get around the driver in front of you? It is definitely going to be a very, very tricky spot. So now you do see that 84 ride, unfortunately, pushes up the racetrack there in 3 and 4. Won't only lose that race lead, but he'll slide quickly back here towards the rear of the field as he's just going to get freight trained down low. Not a whole lot of drafting help there in that third lane, and unfortunately for the 84, he will fall all the way back now into about the 16th position here. So that's a tough break and an early exit from the front row here for the 84 ride of Jonathan Cogswell. We'll have to wait and see if he can navigate his way back up there, as now he may be kind of wondering whether or not he's got to save some fuel here for the 84 ride, not coming down pit road there during that last caution flag and being hard on the throttle, being at the front of the field here. Obviously probably burning up a little bit more fuel than I think he was expecting. A little deeper in the pack, you can be off the throttle a whole lot more, try to save a whole lot more tire out there on the racetrack than what the 84 ride was doing. So for Jeremiah Nelson, he'll consume that race lead, and now he's going to have to try to keep these drivers back there at bay. Here comes a big shove to the back bumper there of Dylan Picklesheimer. Picklesheimer gets a good shove down into core number 1. Unfortunately, just couldn't really take it anywhere. Cannot pull out to the outside of that Craftsman number 20 ride, and looking a whole lot like C. Bell here at the front of the field. Jeremiah Nelson trying to keep all these drivers back there at bay. As the 96 Aaron Spear, good to see Spear having a good run up inside the top 3 here this evening, and in position for potentially a big win here in that American Legion 96 ride for the Revolution team here this evening, having a fairly solid performance. You do see Boughton right there in position number 5. A little farther back, you see Kent Mueller back there in 8th, and then obviously Ludi already down and out of this race. The 18 ride of Michael Carter just outside the top 10. Tyler Chronister, though, with that last caution flag, was able to get that lucky dog. So for Tyler Chronister in the 99, the Walmart machine, back onto the lead lap here this evening, and that is a great break there for Tyler, as that's going to put him right back into the hunt here this evening, and potentially a big day coming back here for the 99 ride. A good run is what he's been looking for again here on the season, and potentially one of those drivers that could navigate their way into a top 3 run, maybe even into victory lane here for that 99 machine. Is really the super speedway. Since anybody's race, we've seen the craziness and how much contact and chaos can unfold in one quick incident. One wrong move out there on the racetrack could wipe out a ton of drivers here, and if you can escape through it, keep yourself clean, keep yourself out of that damage and contact and chaos out there on the speedway, you may end up with the track position that you need late in this race and may be in position to potentially win this event. So it is really anyone's game out there on the speedway. Any one of these drivers could find their way up and into victory lane. It will be here for every single lap of it to see how this one is going to play out and who will put themselves up and into the winner's circle here this evening. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys are enjoying the racing action and you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor here and help us out real quick. Hit that like button for us on the broadcast. Hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here this evening as you finally see that 45 ride able to get the run that he's been trying to build up and use here to get to the outside of Jeremiah Nelson, and he will take that race lead away from the 20 ride. So Nelson slides back into position number 2 as the 45 ride of Dylan Picklesheimer now out in front, but it may not last for long as the 20 ride battles back using the shortest way around the racetrack, that inside lane here at Echo Park Speedway. That middle groove, though, all evening long has found some very good speed here in that middle lane here. I'm not sure if it's just being able to stay on the throttle a little bit longer, a little bit tighter on the corner entry and exit, maybe for the inside lane where they got to roll out of the throttle maybe a little bit more than that middle groove, but the middle lane has shown a lot of speed here all evening long. We'll have to wait and see if it'll work out in the 45 ride's favor here, or maybe we see somebody attempt to try to make this a 3-wide battle at the front of the field with only 20 laps left to go here in this race. It's on like Donkey Kong. I think this is the time to shine. You can't really hold back any longer now. If you were saving fuel, you gotta have all that fuel saved to this point, and you gotta be on the throttle. Maybe if you're getting tight on fuel, you can wait another few laps, but you don't want to be sucked back there and just kind of get trapped with nowhere to go and not enough time to make your way up and through the traffic. If you're a driver like Corey Denk, who may have some of that fuel saving issues, he's not too far away from it, so we could probably hold on for another 5, 6, 7 laps and kind of wait and save that extra little bit of fuel that he may need. But if you're a driver like that 84 ride of Jonathan Cogswell, who may need that fuel but now is back here in that 16th position and has all these drivers in front of him, including lap down drivers as well, there's a lot of drivers that he's got to try to navigate his way through, a lot of traffic he's got to try to battle with, and unfortunately he could run out of time in a quick hurry to try to get himself back towards the front or back into this battle for a solid finish here this evening. As you see him get wound up on the outside lane, try to draw back into the rear bumper of that number 63 ride as Drew King right down to his inside. Unfortunately for Drew King here, he is still 1 lap down, scored back in the 17th position for the 54 ride of Justin Hendry. Hendry a couple laps down there in position number 18 here on the racetrack. As we are getting down to the nitty gritty, we're getting down to the final few laps left in this race, and it's still anyone's game, chat. Who do you guys think gets it done? Who do you guys think finds their way into victory lane? Will it be one of the drivers that are currently inside our top 4? Or do we think that the 45 and the 20 ride may be able to control this race and keep themselves out in front, or do we see one of those Revolution Motorsports rides right behind them, that 96 Aaron Spear, Adam Boughton? May they jump up and take this win away from them, or do we see Corey Denk maybe from back here in that 3rd row, our 5th place driver on the racetrack? Can he jump up and pick up this win? What about Gage Wenzel, who's went through so much adversity here this evening? He scored back there in that 8th position. Chronister from 10th, maybe he'll navigate his way up and into victory lane, or Corey Denk Dank or Dalton Wick or any one of these drivers, man. It's still anyone's game who will get it done and who will find themselves up and in the Echo Park Speedway victory lane here this evening with the Hypershift Racing League. As we're getting down to the end of this one in a quick hurry. It's 15 laps left to go, 14 this time by the start-finish line. So 14 more laps for these drivers to duke it out here this evening. Biting. We see some late race caution flags, and we may see one quickly as, oh, baby, oh, contact, look out. There goes the 9 rider, the 94 up into the outside fence. More drivers spinning out here down the back straightaway into corner number 2 here. A bunch of tore-up race cars here again, and the caution flag is back out on the racetrack, man. A bunch of tore-up race cars. This is definitely not what they wanted to see, and we'll have to see a lot of these drivers head down pit road and get some repairs here in this one. Man, that was a big hit right there, man. There were some big hits. Let's take a look at it. Starts with the 94 ride right here. Gets a big run to the back bumper. This is Adam Boughton. So Boughton getting this big run down into corner number 1, and I'm not sure if he gets a helping hand right here from the 9 right of Al Reed, or if Reed is off his back bumper and he just gets loose on corner entry. Let's take another look at it as he actually gets into the 45 right here. A little too far. So look at the contact here. He's into the 45, That spins Picklesheimer almost around right there, and I think for the 94, he gets checked up, trying not to wreck the 45. Unfortunately, Al Likens and the drivers, all the momentum behind them, they cannot get checked up in time. It powers into the 94 ride and gets him loose, and luckily enough, doesn't take out the 20 ride, but slams him up into the outside fence, and at that time, you start to see drivers like Al Likens here having to get checked up, and unfortunately, as he's checking up, the 8 rider Ken Mueller probably doesn't really know what's happening in front of him. He doesn't have time to check up, and they just kind of keep on running over top of each other, and there was a ton of carnage here. Let's take a look at it. There's Likens, gets kind of into the 94 ride again, back down across the nose of the 8. Then you see the 57 who's trying to get checked up. He gets ran over from the 18 ride, and then everyone else just kind of getting tied up in this one. Heavy contact there for the 4 ride of Johnson. You see the 99 of Chronister and Wicker, all these drivers trying to slide down through the infield here, just going around and obviously having all that speed and momentum built up. And it's hard to keep these cars under control down there on the apron, and you do see like a driver like Justin Hendry here. Hendry, that may be all she wrote for Justin here this evening. This is going to be a big hit, and already using that quick repair, that may be enough damage that he may not be rejoining this field as heavy rear end damage, heavy front end damage into the 57 rides back in, then hard contact up into the outside wall right there. That is definitely going to potentially be a night ender for the 54 ride. We'll have to wait and see if he can jump back out there onto the racetrack for drivers like Al Likens. You see the 84 ride at Cogswell. Cogswell hard contact down into that inside fence there as well. That's a big hit for the 44 Farms ride, and unfortunately for a driver that was trying to save fuel and everything else and just kind of back there at the rear of the field. Wrong place, wrong time, and that's what happens for a lot of these drivers. That's usually how these super speedways go when you get tied up in other people's issues, as you do see Adam Boughton still down pit road trying to get his car repaired. Cogswell rolling back out there. Here comes Tyler Chronister back onto the racetrack. Drew King still down pit road. Looks like Justin Hendry has rejoined the field here, even with some of that damage, so good to see him still rolling out there on the racetrack. Michael Carter looks like his day is done for Carter. Carter's taking his car already down and out of this race, back behind pit wall. Hendry still rolling. Drew King still down pit side. Boughton also still down pit road. Looks like their nights may be done here as well, as they are both now at least a lap down, maybe even going to be a couple laps down. Actually see the 34 roll back out there. So for Drew King, does go a lap down out there on the speedway, which is tough late in this race, but still in contention, still in the battle here this evening, and we'll have to wait and see if he can keep on duking it out here this evening, and hopefully that damage isn't too much as Picklesheimer leads this race. Jeremiah Nelson, who did get a little contact out of that, doesn't look like very much damage at all or any there for the Craftsman number 20 ride. We'll get ready to restart there in position number 2. Aaron Spear, Corey Denk, our top 4, as Gage Wenzel there in 5th. The 77 of Dalton Wick Wicker rolls in that 6th position with Daryl Johnson, Chris Zofeld, that 63 machine of Max Koss there in 9th, and Kent Mueller rounding out our top 10. Brian Fine there in 11th with Al Likens back in 12th. Then we see Jonathan Cogswell there in 13th. Tyler Chronister there in 14th. Drew King, the first car one lap down, scored back in 15th. And unfortunately for Justin Hendry, still back in 17th. Should be able to leapfrog the 94 wide of Adam Belton though right here. And that will move him up into 16th as Belton looks like his night is done. Same with Michael Carter and Anthony Ludi. We started with 23 drivers. We got 16 drivers still rolling out there on the racetrack as here we go back to battle in a big restart there for the 45 ride, but maybe too big of a lead here. He's kind of being left high and dry. Is there 3 wide? Here comes that 4 ride up on the outside lane. Look out for the 4 machine as he's looking to try to work his way to the front of the field. That is that 4 machine of Daryl Johnson as he is trying to navigate his way to the front here. We'll have to wait and see who that 17 and 77 decide to go with. Unfortunately, their run could not take him much farther as they do push that 20 ride of Jeremiah Nelson to the point here this evening. Picklesheimer back to second here with Aaron Spear there in third, and here comes Chris Zofeld. Zofeld now finds himself in position number 4 and looking for more here on the racetrack. Max Koss now inside the top 5 as well. Al Likens there in 6 as Gage Wenzel down to the inside as the Tiny Toes rides up on the outside lane, just really not going anywhere. They got a big run there to start this restart, and all of a sudden now they're falling back like a absolute they threw a parachute or two out there for the 17 and 77 ride. Unfortunately, not a whole lot of drafting help, and unfortunately for both of them, they just continue to fall farther and farther back here, and now both at risk of going outside of the top 10 here in this race as Jeremiah Nelson continues to lead us down across the line. Only 7 more laps left to go. 7 more laps left to duke it out here in this one. Does Jeremiah Nelson hang on to it? Does Picklesheimer able to jump up and steal this one away from him? It is going to be a tight race here around the speedway, and I do believe for Jeremiah Nelson, Dylan Picklesheimer, they are on the same team. They also have that 11 rider, Chris Sofeld, on the same team as well here. Obviously, the 96 is Spear, Gage Wenzel. They are not on the same team. Same with Cogswell, Brian Fine, Kent Mueller, Max Koss, and Tyler Chronister. So for 3 of our top 4 drivers, all on the slightly dangerous racing team here this evening, and all 3 of them in contention to try to pick up this win. I'm sure they're going to try to work together and hope to try to see if they can come home with a 1-2-3 finish. But for all these drivers back there behind them, they're going to be looking to try to bound together and see if they can try to jump up and steal this win away from the slightly dangerous racing group. Maybe being led on that charge, maybe a little farther back here, Gage Wenzel, maybe he can find that runner, the 84 of Jonathan Cogswell, who rolls there in 6. Do we see the 8 ride of Kent Mueller or Brian Fine find that speed to the outside lane here as he's trying to get rocking and rolling? He does have the 54 ride, a couple laps down back there for Justin Hendry, but still very much in this race as not only a competitor, but there's contact. Around goes the 54. Now Chronister tied up with the number 77 as they get up into the outside fence. The caution flag will fly, and we will get a late race restart, and we will be going to NASCAR overtime here this evening at Echo Park Speedway. Let's take a look back here at it as obviously the outside lane trying to get something going. They need to find that speed. They're falling farther and farther away from our race leaders here, and they need to get something bound up here. Hendry has been struggling pretty much all evening long with the exit there on corner number 4. He's been very loose there out of 4, and it looks like he kind of gets a little bit loose again. The 77 right of Wicker trying to find as much speed as possible. Ends up getting into his back bumper here to try to give him a big shove, and obviously wrong place, wrong time. Gets him a little loose right there, still kind of on his bumper, and they kind of just get hooked together. The gearhead coffee ride goes around, and then you see other drivers make contact here as it looked like Daryl Johnson trying to avoid this contact. He's trying to get out of this. He comes down the track, and all of a sudden he ends up clipping the 99 right of Chronister. Chronister up and into the 77 here of Wicker. And Wicker all of a sudden into the outside fence. Same with Chronister there. Heavy contact for both the 77 and that 99 ride. And that's a tough break for both of those cats late in this race. For Johnson, a little bit more damage for him as well. And for Corey Dank, obviously, he's able to keep on rolling here, and he'll look to try to get lined back up with his teammate and see if they can mount another challenge towards the front of the field. They were able to get a good restart and drive up closer to the front of the pack, but they really weren't able to stay there for very long. But maybe with this green-white checkered finish, maybe that's all they need to try to put themselves up and into victory lane, as this is really going to become a dogfight here to the end, and this may not be our only green-white checkered finish here this evening. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are going to NASCAR Overtime. It's our first attempt at NASCAR Overtime here this evening. We will have 3 attempts. That's it. That's all. If we can't make it to that point, the next flag, no matter what, after the 3rd attempt green flag, we'll finish this race. Whether it's the checkered flag or the yellow flag, it will end under yellow if we do have to do this 3 times. But here on the first try, we will see that green flag flying. They will do 1 full lap back to the white flag. If the yellow flag gets displayed before that white flag comes out, then we will stack them up, we will rack them up, and we will do it all over again here this evening. But if we do get that white flag, if the race leaders take the white here this evening before that caution flag comes back out, then the next flag will end this race no matter what. Whether it's the checkered flag or the caution flag, after the white flag is displayed, the next flag will end this race. And that is definitely going to make things very, very exciting. Obviously, these drivers, it takes them a little while to build up their speed and momentum. It probably won't happen until we hit the back straightaway, maybe corner number 3 or 4, before we see that yellow flag be displayed. And before we see these drivers really build up enough speed and momentum to start wrecking each other out there on the racetrack. Yet we've seen stranger things happen. We've seen drivers spin the tires on restarts to bring out yellows and everything else. So it is anybody's game still. One big run. We've seen drivers come from very deep in the field, even with only a couple laps. If they can find a couple pushing partners to their back bumper, if they can find that open lane, maybe that 3rd line out there on the speedway, maybe they can navigate their way up to the front of the field. So we'll have to wait and see how this gets played out as the lights are off. The official iRacing pace car. We'll get ready for our first attempt at NASCAR Overtime here this evening for the Hypershift Racing League. It's Jeremiah Nelson, Dylan Picklesheimer on the front row. It's Aaron Spear and Chris Sofeld there in row 2. Gage Wenzel and the 84 Jonathan Cogswell there in row 3. And then we see that Mac 57 rider Brian Fine, Kent Mueller, Max Cost, and the 9 of Al Likens rounding out our top 10 as we get ready to go back to battle. Our first attempt at NASCAR Overtime as the official iRacing pace car will make that hard left-hand turn back down pit side, and for what could be our final restart of the evening here from Echo Park Speedway. We will unleash this field here this evening as the green flag back out into the air. As Jeremiah Nelson gets a solid restart here. The inside lane a little bit more lined up than the outside groove. There's Sofeld quickly jumps down to the inside. That leaves Dylan Picklesheimer a little bit high and dry out there on the racetrack. Now here comes the 96. Here comes that 36 looking to carry a bunch of speed down the back straightaway. Here comes that 63 Max Cost getting a big run. Here comes Sofeld. Here comes the 57. They're still bouncing off each other. There goes the 45 turnaround. Caution flag back out on the racetrack. Yellow flag is back out, and we will attempt it again. Here is our second attempt at NASCAR Overtime coming up. Yellow flag is back out. We did not take that white flag. And that means we will go to our second attempt at NASCAR Overtime here this evening. And I don't want to say I called it, but I definitely called it. I told you that it was probably going to come down in corner 3 and 4 to see this yellow flag coming back out here this evening. We knew it was going to get very, very wild here up towards the front of the field. And the push and the shove, and it was not going to be back down here. And obviously you see a little contact there. Getting the 45 right, already bent to the shape. Looks like the 36 right here. Wenzel gets a little piece of the 45, which that's Picklesheimer a little bent to the shape. Obviously, you see the 57 jump up to the outside lane. The 11 right tries to go with them. Picklesheimer still trying to catch that car. Gets tight, finally gets it saved, but now all of a sudden he's got the 11 to his right rear quarter panel, and it just kind of hooks him around up across the nose there of the 57 of Al Likens. And unfortunately for Likens, nowhere to go. Wait, what in the world just happened there? Yeah, so Al Likens and nowhere for actually Al Likens down low, able to just get through there, but Cogswell not as lucky. Cogswell gets tied up into it. Him and the 8 ride, the 11, they get kind of tied together there, and it shoves the 11 of Zofeld and the 84 Cogswell up into the outside fence. Obviously, the 57 ride also getting some very heavy damage. Pinkelsheimer tore up there as well, and that will put us back under the caution flag, and that will give us another opportunity here at seeing who can try to navigate their way into the front of the field. As Trina Wright says go Zofeld, then automatically says no. Unfortunately, Trina, that is that's the curse here on the channel. We've seen it probably about 3 times here today, where someone's came in, they've cheered on their favorite driver, and unfortunately, moments later, their nights become that much worse and that much tougher and get tied up in something out there on the racetrack. And unfortunately, that curse has been continuing to happen all evening long. Nonetheless, we will get ready to try this again. See who can try to come home with that race win. Now, obviously, for Jeremiah Nelson, he just had a couple of his teammates right there with him. Zofeld and that 45 rider Dylan Pinkelsheimer are part of the same team here with Jeremiah Nelson, but now Nelson doesn't really have any of his teammates around him. Zofeld all the way back here in position number 6, and maybe some solid damage there on that 11 ride as well. So we'll have to wait and see if he can try to get back there and maybe help his teammate out. But now, Jeremiah Nelson may be a sitting duck as he's got Aaron Spear, Max Koss, Gage Wenzel, all these drivers right there with him. Al Likens right there as well, and then you start to see Cogswell, Brian Fine, all these other drivers like Corey Denk and Ken Mueller, Tyler Chronister, Delton Wicker, they're wanting to jump up there and maybe see if they can put themselves up into victory lane. Pinkelsheimer all the way back here in 13th. Drew King back on the lead lap there in 14th for Darrell Johnson. Looks like he has done it out of this race. Same with Justin Hendry, Adam Belton, Michael Carter, Anthony Ludi, Jaden Newson, James Hudson, Zach Wilson, and Jack Simpson. We start with 23 drivers out there on the racetrack, and right now we got 14 drivers still rolling on the speedway. So about 9 drivers have been eliminated from this racing contention, but there's still 14 drivers left to duke it out here this evening, and we're going to get ready for our second attempt in NASCAR overtime here from Echo Park Speedway, as the 20 rider Jeremiah Nelson will look to try to keep these drivers back there at bay, as the official iRacing pace car will make that hard left-hand turn back down pit road, and here we go. Once again, it's a do-si-do for 2 laps around Echo Park Speedway for Jeremiah Nelson and the rest of the Hypershift Racing League. Is a big jump there out of that 9 right at Al Likens. Likens really getting a good launch there to the back bumper of that 36 of Gage Wenzel. That will give the 20 right a pretty sizable gap down into corner number 1 as they're all kind of bouncing around, and look out, we may see another caution flag. It was Dalton Wicker sideways there on the racetrack, but looks like Wicker alt F4'd and took himself right out of this race, but they're continuing to wreck down the back straightaways. There goes that 96 ride. Heartbreaker there for Aaron Spear as he goes around. No caution flag as of yet. We head back down through corner number 3 and out of 4. Back down across the line. No caution flag on the speedway. There is the white flag. So this is the final time around here this evening as the 36 of Gage Wenzel rolls there in second. The 9 rider Al Likens right there with him. There's Likens trying to help this 36 ride get to the front of the fielder because Al trying to find a different line there, trying to back each other up here. Here comes a big run from Chris Zofeld. Now here comes that 57 of Brian Fine. Fine in the 17 of Corey Denk there, right there. Here comes a big run to the outside for the 36 down low. They're wrecking. They're sideways down across the line. It's Gage Wenzel who picks up the checkered flag here this evening. Wenzel gets the dub. Brian Fine comes home in second, and Jeremiah Nelson will come home in third as Fine down to the inside. Man, these 2 drivers, I don't know if they ult F4'd or what happened here as that contact was happening, but take a look at it. This big run comes out of corner number 3 for this 57 and the 17 ride. They get this big run down low as the 11 and the 9 block up on the high side. This gives a bit of momentum to the 36 to the outside lane. So this puts Gage Wenzel to the outside of this 20 ride, but it doesn't look like he's going to have enough. Maybe he had enough to get there. I don't think he would, but it's the 57 rider, Brian Fine, right here. Fine is getting shoved from the 17 and that 63 ride. They are not going to be on the binders there there, not letting off. They are on the throttle no matter what. And unfortunately for the 20 ride, he kind of gets a little bent out of shape right there, made a little contact with the 36, and it just shoves him up and across the nose there of Brian Fine. And you see the 20 ride backwards down across the line, the 57 blinking there down across the line as well. But it is the 36 of Gage Wenzel who's able to come home with this race win and now gets to celebrate here on the front straightaway after what was a crazy night of racing action. And it's the Tom's Tasty Taters and Walleye Fish Sandwiches number 2430 36 ride here this evening. The 2430 Motorsports ride up and into victory lane here at Echo Park Speedway. And what was a crazy finish here to our second attempt in NASCAR overtime. Now I'm sure Fine's going to be fairly happy with the second place run. Jeremiah Nelson is probably not going to be very happy with coming home in third here this evening, and I'm sure Gage Wenzel will be very happy with how that one finished and how he was able to jump up and pick up the win here this evening. Corey Denk back in fourth, Max Koss there in fifth, Al Likens, Chris Sofeld, Tyler Chronister, Jonathan Cogswell, and Dylan Picklesheimer rounding out our top 10 as we'll get ready to pull our top 3 up and into the booth here for some post-race interviews. Post-race interviews coming up next for these drivers. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner, Gage Wenzel. We'll pull him up here into the broadcast booth. Hey, Gage, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yes, I do, man. What's up?
Not much. Gage, man, what a run, what a race. Take us back through this one. Obviously, having to serve that penalty early on. You go a lap down. You're trying to get that lucky dog, and slowly but surely, a few of these caution flags come out. You're able to get back onto the lead lap, and then you're trying to battle yourself back through the field here, and not once, not twice, but probably about 3 or 4 times, you end up getting tied up in some of the incidences out there on the speedway. Just nowhere for you to go. You end up with a little bit of damage on that race car, and then all of a sudden, late in this race, you find yourself in position, restarting there in third. You're trying to stay glued to the back bumper of that 20 ride, and it seemed like there was just no help coming to your back bumper there during that final lap. The 9 ride didn't really seem like he wanted to get hooked up with you there. He was waiting for other drivers to catch up, and he went to the high side, kind of left you high and dry, and then all of a sudden, Brian Fine and a big group of drivers get to your back bumper. They push you up and virtually out of the way there, and before they end up running into that 20 ride and taking out Jeremiah Nelson, but allowing you on the outside lane just to skate on by and steal this win away from everybody else.
Yeah, tonight was, hey, like, we're going to be a lap down. There's no reason to rush it. I got the lap. I knew there was going to be a bunch of cautions, so I wasn't worried about it. And then I was just kind of riding in all those wrecks, and then because until the last 50 laps hit, that's when track position matters, and I wasn't worried about it. So I just kind of was patient, then started to make moves and just kind of being patient with it. And then, yeah, that last lap, I was just like, I'm not going to make the move till I get out of 4 because the runs are so big, and I'll just get stalled and get left like the 9 did. So, I mean, it worked out great, and then the 20 got spun off the 57. The 57, I think he hit the incident limit. So I think it was a good race, though. I mean, it was fun. From start to finish, good racing, and I'm happy with the win. It was out of nowhere. I only led this lap, but I'm okay with it.
Hey, brother, it's the only lap that matters, and that's the final one to put yourself up here into victory lane. As honestly, this is a totally different racetrack than what the old Atlanta used to be, and now it's changed names as well to Echo Park Speedway, which has just been throwing me through a loop every time I come here. I absolutely hate it. I don't know why they changed it, but I don't think they should. But that's besides the point. But obviously now more of a super speedway, but it's kind of got that super speedway feel, like it's a drafting track, but it's so much shorter than Talladega and Daytona, where, you know, there's not a whole lot of room out there to maneuver, not a whole lot of time down these straightaways to get around people and really make moves. So how do you have to navigate this racetrack, and how different is it as a super speedway compared to those big tracks there at Talladega and Daytona?
Oh, it's completely different. But what I like about this track is this setup was actually really nice tonight, and it's at night, so there's more grip. But usually here, once the tires get 20-30 laps old, it's kind of hard to drive. You can't go full throttle at all. I mean, aside from the first few laps, or if you're the leader, or you're just gonna kick out in the rear, and you saw that a few times. I think people just spinning by themselves. I think Chris spun by himself. But this track's, I wouldn't say it takes much more skill, but it does take a little bit more. And I like it because, like, it's hard to get to the front. You can't just drive with the new aero package. It's a fun racetrack. I mean, the runs are ridiculous. They're still way too big. But that's why I was just laying back because I knew the run is massive here, and I saw that big checkup in that run coming from behind me on the backstretch, and that's why, I just laid back and then ran the straightaway. They all murdered each other. So
Well, it works out perfectly here for yourself tonight, Gage, as it puts you up into victory lane here at Atlanta Park Speedway, brother. Who would you like to thank for another victory here in the Hypershift Racing League?
I got to thank Tom's Tasty Taters and Walleye Fish Sandwiches. They're on the car in this beautiful patriotic scheme. Put it in victory lane for the 5th time already, so we're gonna try and get some more. Not next week, probably. I'm horrible at Dover, but I gotta thank 213 Simware, all the guys out here. They put on a pretty good race, and tonight was a pretty good one. My family, my girlfriend Emma, and you up here in the booth. That's about it.
Beautiful. Well, Gage, heck of a run, heck of a drive. Congratulations on capturing tonight's checkered flag, leading the only lap that matters. And that's the final one, brother. Congrats on the win, and hopefully we'll see you back up here in the booth next Thursday here on Peacemaker Gaming.
Yep. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You as well.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner, Gage Wenzel. As Gage picks up a crazy green-white checkered victory here this evening from what used to be Atlanta Motor Speedway. As we'll get ready now to pull in our second-place driver. Now the live timing and what our leaderboard probably shows you guys is Brian Fine comes home in second and Jeremiah Nelson comes home in third. By the sounds of what happened there, or what we saw on the racetrack with Fine after making contact there with Jeremiah Nelson and turning him around, Brian Fine ended up getting basically a DNF for hitting the incident limit. Too many issues, too much contact out there, too many times running over people or getting into other drivers or collected in accidents or anything else and hit that incident limit. So he was literally disqualified there, meters away from that start-finish line. So that moves Brian Fine, I do believe here. Let's take a look. It moves him from coming home in position number 2 to all of a sudden finishing back in the, I want to say that's the 12th position here this evening. So that's a heartbreaker for him, but it's a great break for the number 17 as it moves Corey Dank from what we had on the scoreboard as a 4th place finish up and into second. So Corey comes home in position number 2. Let's get him up here into the broadcast booth. Hey Corey, it's Aaron up here on the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yeah, what's up, Aaron?
Not much, Corey, man. Crazy run, crazy race here all evening long, and all of a sudden, late in this one, you finally get that run, that charge that you were looking for, and you're right there on the back bumper of Brian Fine, obviously Fine, and the 20 ride made contact. Gage Wenzel there to the outside lane, and with all the chaos down and out of corner number 4, ended up coming across the line in position number 2 here this evening, man. Take us back kind of through this race, and what's going through your mind right now as you're able to come home with a second place run.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good race. A lot of fun, a lot of wrecks, a lot of good, exciting action. But yeah, those last 50, I was trying to make it on fuel, kind of burn the tires up, so I had like no pace for the last 10 laps. But luckily, we got those 2 yellows, put us into green white. Got it fueled up, got new tires on, had some speed, and that last green white, me and Brian kind of got into it. I had to get out of it, and I got a god run on white flag. Al jumped to the outside, kind of held up everybody, trying to get to 20 to win there, and I knew the only way I was going to make spots was just to go with the 57. It's unfortunate for him too. He got X'd out, so he probably would have gotten P2 there behind Gage. But hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. He did get DQ'd there, obviously, for the incident points, and obviously Jeremiah getting spun there sideways, and allows you to slide right on through and up and into a solid second place run. Corey, who would you like to thank for such a great performance out there on the racetrack here all evening long?
Yeah, just thanks to my family for tuning in every week. Thanks to Dalton. He puts on the paint schemes every week. They always look great. And yeah, that's it.
Beauty. Well, Corey, heck of a run, heck of a drive here tonight, brother, and hopefully we'll see you right back up here in the booth, maybe one spot better, and into victory lane next Thursday.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Yeah, you too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for the 17 ride. It's Corey comes home in position number 4. Actually, comes home in position number 2 here this evening. Our overlay will show that he came home in 4th. He was actually our second place driver here today, as we'll try to get our third place driver in here, Jeremiah Nelson. Let's double check here. Yeah, Jeremiah did come home in 3rd. They have him scored as our third place finisher. Let's pull Jeremiah up here into the booth. Hey, Jeremiah, it's Aaron up here on the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Jeremiah, man, hell of a run, hell of an effort here all evening long, and it has to end that way, unfortunately for yourself. Not the way you wanted it to go for a driver like Gage Wenzel. Definitely the way he wanted this one to finish, as he was able to steal that win away from you, man. But I'm sure he didn't want to see it be that way, but take us back through this one. Obviously, you and Gage both going a lap down early in this race, having to do those pass-through penalties, and you battle back, you race your way back to the front of the field here, obviously leading a lot of laps. You qualified in that pole position. You were sitting in that catbird seat all the way down to about 200 meters before that start-finish line in the checkered flag, until all of a sudden Brian Fine and all these drivers with that big head of momentum back behind you kind of just got up into you, turned you around, and basically stole this win away from you here today, man. Take us back through this race and what's going through your mind right now after that contact out of corner number 4.
Yeah, I just, there's really nothing you can do right there, just hope you don't get wrecked. And, Gage had a big run off of 4, but nothing I could do with it. I was actually really shocked with the run he did have, but, the 20 was fast tonight. We just ended up on the hook tonight. It was fun tonight, I want to thank my teammates, and the car was fast, and I want to thank you, brother.
Absolutely, man. Well, it's definitely a heartbreaker for you, but hey, it could have been a whole lot worse. If that was taking the white flag, you probably would have came home in about the 13th position or so. So you're able to still hang on backwards down across the line for a solid third place run nonetheless. Obviously, not the spot you wanted to be, not the spot you thought you'd be, coming out of corner number 4 right there and seeing that checkered flag in the sky. But hell of a run, hell of a performance from you all evening long. Jeremiah, is there anyone else you'd like to thank here for such a great performance out there on the racetrack?
Yeah, I want to thank my teammates, and for pushing everybody to get quicker, and it was fun tonight. Thank you to the owners of the league, and that's it, brother.
Beauty. Well, Jeremiah, hopefully a little bit better luck next Thursday for you, and another trip up here into the broadcast booth, and maybe another look at capturing the checkered flag next Thursday night.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher, Jeremiah Nelson, as Nelson comes home here in position number 3 here this evening. Heck of a run, heck of a drive there for that 20 ride, and definitely not the way I think he wanted it to run out, and definitely not the way the team wanted to see that one finish off, as obviously taking the 20 ride at corner number 4. Looked like he was going to drive home to the win, but the runs back behind him all of a sudden had him turn the wrong direction and slide him back into position number 3 here this evening. But a heck of a run, heck of a drive, and a great performance from all these drivers after a couple weeks off, a couple weeks away from the simulators and not running here on Thursday nights. We missed them. I know you guys missed them, and I'm sure these guys miss being out there duking it out on the racetrack here on our Thursday night show. So we're happy to see them back in action here, and a few good weeks of racing action before our next holiday break or anything else. So we got some great time and some great action here to come on Peacemaker Gaming with the Hypershift Racing League for quite a little while here. I don't believe we got another week off here. I think we're right back into action here virtually, I want to say almost every single week up until Labor Day, which is 8/25, I do believe is the Labor Day weekend. So that's end of next month. So we got quite a few weeks of racing action here before we will see another holiday break here. So that's a great time, man. There's going to be a lot of fun to see some drivers being able to battle, duke it out, and I do believe that 825 race would be virtually think that is... I don't know how that lines up. Is that right? I guess that's right. So that would be right before our playoffs get started. That's virtually right there, right before the playoffs get underway. And then it looks like we actually have September 11th off as well. So looks like right as the playoffs get started, we'll have a quick little week vacation. We'll be back for one quick week of the playoffs and then another week off, and then we'll be finishing off with, I do believe, 5 races to finish off the season. So still a lot of racing, still a lot of time here, and a lot of action for these drivers to duke it out here, as I do believe we still got 5 more races until our playoffs get underway. So 5 more weeks of non-stop racing action here at the Hypershift Racing League, and we can't wait to see them back in action next Thursday night from Dover International Speedway, and hopefully we'll see each and every one of you guys back up here in the grandstands cheering them on, and hopefully we'll see you guys back up here tomorrow night as well, as we should hopefully be back to battle with the Full Throttle Racing League, as they were off last week. They ended up taking last week off, and maybe we'll see them back in action this week. We'll have to wait and see how their numbers are looking like and what the drivers want to do there for that series. But hopefully we'll be back in action tomorrow evening for some more racing action. And then Saturday night, we're back with the Premium Stock Car Racing League. Their 5th season, 6th season getting underway this Saturday. So they are back in action there as well. So hopefully we see you guys up in the grandstands cheering them on. But thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. And we'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen.
Rubber burning engine screaming, it's a madhouse. Hypershift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafting on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Tire spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's delight. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to